What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to another edition of Letterman Sports Show. Going to do another prediction. This time it's going to be on the NFC side of things. Yesterday I went 0-2. Somehow I was crazy enough to think that the Texans were going to win the game against the Chiefs. That didn't happen. And then the Bengals, well, Jesus. Well, we all know what happened with the Bengals game, how they collapsed. But I'll do a review of those games later. Right now, let's focus on the NFC matchup. The Seattle Seahawks versus the Minnesota Vikings. And I'm going to start with the offense for the Seahawks. This game has to be on Russell Wilson's shoulders, and he's proven that he can do that. He's had, a great later part of the season where he's thrown 34 touchdowns, minimal interceptions. And that's really huge because he's beating people from the pocket as opposed to doing most of his damage historically where he's gotten outside the pocket and hurt teams that way. This way, he's most recently, he's actually beating people from the pocket, so that's huge. And I feel that this game, for the Seahawks to win, he has to make plays from the pocket. He has to get Doug Baldwin, who's had a great year, 14 touchdowns. He has to get him involved. He's been a big play receiver. Jermaine Kearse has been a big play receiver. And the X factor, in my personal opinion, Tyler Lockett, both on special teams and as a receiver, he's been dynamite. Got to get him involved. And if he can get all those receivers involved, I think this will be kind of an easy win. Well, not an easy win, but it'll be a comfortable win for the Seattle Seahawks. I just don't, not to slight Christian Michael, but I don't think he's going to have a good game against the Vikings defense. So it's got to be on Russell Wilson, whether it's getting his combination of him beating people from the pocket and having those timely yards, timely scrambles. If he can do that, I think the Seahawks will win this game. The defense, we already know how the big time they are. Number one scoring defense in the entire league, so we already know about that. Now, for the Minnesota Vikings side, this game has to be... Adrian Peterson has to have a great game. And what I mean by a great game, he at least has to get 100 yards. He has to. And he has to get four to 4.5 yards a carry because I don't know if Teddy Bridgewater is able to carry a team right now. He's only had 14 touchdowns in the regular season, so I don't know if he can sling it like that. Plus, I don't know if he has the weapons outside of Stephon Diggs to actually carry a team on his arm. So you get AP has to be all day today. He has to get consistent yards. He cannot get 2 and 3 yards a carry because if that happens, you're going to force the game. They're going to be a lot of 3 and outs, and then your defense, the Vikings defense, is going to be very tired, and that's not what you want. You want them to get timely yards, long drives, and tire out the Seahawks defense with punishing runs. And everybody knows Adrian Peterson is a punishing runner. So that's the first key. Secondly, Teddy Bridgewater does have to make some plays. He doesn't have to be a playmaker all day long from quarter 1 to quarter 4, but he does have to make some big plays in this game. And Stephon Diggs has to be that guy, that big play guy for this receiving crew because outside of him, they really don't have much. But Stephon Diggs is a beast, and he has to have a good game. Whether he have a good game against Richard Sherman, I don't know. But like I said, like the old adage is, it's hard to beat a team twice in the same season. And the Vikings already lost to the Seahawks once this year. I think this game's going to be a little different. They have a better feel for what each other likes to do. So I think Stephon Diggs will have a good game. Not a great game, I don't know about that, but if he can have a good game, that's huge. Another player who he just has to show up is Mike Wallace. I mean, ever since he's left Pittsburgh, he has been a shell of himself, and he's not that old, but he has to be huge. And the way I would use him is to blow the cap off the defense. Allow Adrian Peterson not to face 8-man fronts. If you can blow the top on the defense, have a couple of shots to Mike Wallace down deep, that could loosen this Seahawks defense up. Another player who was an X factor, just like Tyler Lockett, is Cordero Patterson. I think he has to have a good game, whether it be returning kicks, special teams, or those trick plays, rushing plays. Get this man the ball any way you can. He's not a traditional receiver, he's not a threat as a traditional receiver, but he is a big play waiting to happen. And the offensive coordinator has to develop interesting ways or complex ways to get him the ball because he's not going to just be able to run routes and beat you that way. He's got to have those handoffs, those trick plays. Any creative way to get this man the ball, you should do it. So that's who I think on offense for the Vikings, how they should attack the Seattle Seahawks defense. For the defense, for the Seattle Seahawks defense, they just have to shut down AP, and that's really hard to do twice in a season. But if they can find a way to limit him to like 40 and 50 yards, they will win this game. For the Vikings defense, they just have to make the receivers for the Seahawks beat them. I wouldn't blitz Russell Wilson too much. Have timely blitzes, but you don't want Russell Wilson being able to get out the pocket and get those rushing yards, because that just gashes the defense and that just exasperates your defense. It's so tiring when a quarterback, you have him bottled up and all of a sudden he goes off for 8 or 10 yards and all of a sudden you're like, we had him. It just demoralizes you. It gets you more exhausted. So I will let him beat you from the pocket, and that sounds stupid because he's had a great later part of the season, but that's how I'll let you do it. Just shut down Christian Michael, make them one-dimensional, let Doug Baldwin beat you. You have good DBs. You have a good defense. Let those receivers beat you. Because if you rush Russell Wilson and you allow him to be the playmaker that he is, coupled with the fact that he can beat you from the pocket now, that's just a hard matchup. That's a hard game plan to complete. So those are my keys. With that said, who do I think will win this game? I'm going Seattle Seahawks. I think they'll win this game. I think Russell Wilson is more of a playmaker right now than Teddy Bridgewater. And I don't think AP will have 100 plus yards. So I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks. Plus, I think their defense is slightly better. And then, two, something's got to be said for momentum. The Seattle Seahawks have had a lot of momentum the last couple of weeks. So I'm riding a hot team. I'm going Seattle Seahawks. So that's my analysis. That's my prediction. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think the analysis is a little off, or do you think I should have come up with some other analysis? Let me know. Leave me comments and or suggestions, and please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Let It Rip Sports Show. Thanks again for watching, boys and girls.